So, what's up, YouTube? What's up, my black women? All right, I'm gonna start off this video because it's 2024 and I'm on some new stuff. And I'm gonna start doing jokes when I feel like it. So, the first realistic joke that I'd like to say is am I the only person that's waiting for both the candidates who are the oldest relics in the group to just go ahead and die so that we can get rid of all of this stupidity that comes with them? I'm talking about Biden and Trump. Like, honestly, both of them are too old, and they need to just go ahead and hang it up and crawl into the grave and leave everybody else alone. That's how I felt, so I put it out there. Every time I see them on television, I think that shit. I'm like, why don't they just go ahead and die? Like, just let go, please. Let go. The other thing I want to say is, it's a new year, right? And I am done catering to people, trying to make things work when they don't. Right? I'm done catering to people. Tired of trying to make things work with people when they just don't. You know what I'm saying? So I'm done. So this video, I want to talk about how we have let me get a little bit more comfortable. Sorry, y'all. We have all these millennial women out here, or whatever you call them, because look, let me tell you something. I don't get into that ignorance of the grouping, the separate and divide, or separate, conquer, and divide that white America creates for black people, and that black people so stupidly, easily, and readily accept any goddamn thing white people come out with in America to keep you from progressing as a unit, a group, a race of women, and a family structure. So this video I put together because this whole vibe, this whole flow of the old women versus the young is really, really, seriously getting on my fucking nerves. I will honestly tell you that. And I gotta honestly say, young black women, you're gonna fucking lose. You can take it however you want to. There is no amount of education, no amount of money that can make up for the fact that you're just not old enough to know all the things you should know at your time. And no amount of how much I want to believe in the negative, egotistical, as you guys will refer to, ghetto fabulous, stupid shit of believing that there are, that ignorant shit y'all say, psychological curses. When it's psychological effects of slavery, okay, that creates and demands and dictates that there needs to be problems between black women and their daughters. You create that. You make it that way. There's no amount of I don't give a fuck in the world. Everything was cool with you and your parent up until you start fucking somebody and you start having kids. Now all of a sudden your mother is the worst fucking person in the world. She's the enemy. She hates you. She trying to invalidate you. She don't see you as a full-fledged adult. She don't respect your humanity. She don't respect your adulthood. She knows it all. You don't know nothing. All of that is a crock of shit. But you know what? I keep telling y'all this. And no one's listening because and the crazy part about all this, y'all, is you never listen to the black women trying to tell you the right thing. You always out here listening to the dumbasses, whether they're young or old. People who want to encourage separation are the biggest fucking haters and the type of people that never want no real progress for the black women, or in particular any group you want to belong to and wave it around like a flag, like the LGBT. You're doing this to yourselves. And what you're not realizing is that you're alienating the very people that can help you get yourself on the map and put you where the fuck you need to be for the rest of your life, and help to ensure that you get all that generational wealth that you deserve. Think about what I'm saying. there are always going to be black people who are very, very talented, focused, self-aware, going to get their shit out of life and nothing's going to stop them. They always exist. But for the majority of the collective of black women that don't have this great opportunity, don't have this great amount of intelligence or education or even the ability to do better or more with themselves, those are the ones I'm talking about. And they seem to always be the ones that want to fight with their mamas and get on YouTube and create huge platforms where all they do is talk about how an older woman is jealous, hating on them, wish they could be them, want to be young, all that bullshit. Those are the main ones always doing that. When in fact, I keep saying it, what will happen is that all of your people who will advocate for you, be there for you when you need them, are in positions to make change when change needs to be made, people who will come running to help you when you need help, you're going to keep all of this silly shit up following white America with this, oh, I'm a Gen Zer, I'm a millennial, I'm a this one, I'm a that. Fuck all that bullshit. You are either a young woman or an older woman. Fuck all those titles. All those titles breed all these problems. You need to listen to an old woman now, I'm telling you. I didn't have these motherfucking problems with my mama. Okay? I didn't have these problems with my aunts. I didn't have these problems with my older cousins. Women have been here since the beginning of time. They have always had clashes with other women related to them, non-related to them. Some mothers and daughters, mothers and grandmothers, granddaughters and grandmothers, whoever it is, whatever the relation is. There have always been irreconcilable differences. However, people know how to still communicate, to still get shit done, still put their ego to the side and say, I need help with this. I want you to assist me with this, and I want to know how to do that. You can't do those things when you're trying to make it seem, make it be. I was gonna make it seem, but make it become the situation of you're too old and stupid to tell me anything, because I'm young, smart, and know everything. And now that I no longer rely on you to take care of me, I don't give a fuck about you. That's going to cause a big problem. It really is. And I know a lot of you are very, very hateful and you don't give a fuck about your mothers, and you have conditioned yourself not to like probably yourself, other black women, and your moms, and any older woman, period, because you have all of this unhealthy, indoctrinated hatred towards ridiculous shit that is stereotypically being pumped on YouTube. It's not even a matter of fucking fact. It's just shit you want to believe in. Like, I'm gonna play this clip of this girl's video right now. I don't want to give an opinion on her because she's typical, right? The typical shit. But the things that she's saying, none of those shits are part of any type of real fact. And the way she disrespects the black women that put their lives down and actually cared about every bit of black women progress in this country, she disrespects. And you all constantly disrespect when you refer to each other as mammies, and you've called me that shit too many a times. And I take that is the most serious offense you can call, because I respect my ancestors. I praise the ground they walk on. And for people to denigrate them and constantly disrespect them by making fun and calling an antebellum slave name at each other like it's throwing a frisbee is so disrespectful. It is unbelievable. But you know, the universe and the world, it has its way of making you pay for disrespectful shit that you do that you think you're never gonna have to answer for. But this girl here, I want you to hear what she has to say, and then I'm gonna let this other lady talk, this white woman talk, who feels the way I feel. Because you see, there's always been barriers to understanding, barriers to communication and relationships. And it's just funny how whenever a black woman like me, or older black woman that you all hate, or the symbolism of us is something that you seriously despise, which makes no sense. But, you know, it's the sign of the times now, because this is what age grouping and age group titles do to people. It makes you feel as if you are superior to those who you feel are about to die or close to death, or have one foot in the grave, and every step they take brings them closer to the grave. You feel superior and you feel like they have no worth. Where if you actually respected your blackness and you knew anything about all the history you come from, you would know that the people you come from, the women you come from, strongly respect their elders the most, and babies. Everybody in between, you are going through a journey from one period to the next. And that is how you're supposed to see yourself. Not, oh, us 20-somethings against the 30-somethings, and us 30-somethings against the 40-somethings, and the 50-somethings against the 60s, and the 70s and 80s, we just gonna hate everybody. That's not how this shit is supposed to go. But it has become this way because of white America, white people playing mind tricks on y'all, which is why all y'all need to slam that dark psychology book on your forehead and absorb that shit into your brain, okay? Because these are all tricks they play to keep you with a fucked up family, no type of generational wealth, and no type of cooperative functioning for progression. They do this on purpose. And you guys always fall into this shit. If it ain't us arguing over twerking, we arguing over women's autonomy, their sexuality, their education, their money, their refusal to want to conform to traditional gender roles. This shit is all systematically done. You have got to wake up out of this bullshit. Seriously. But anyway, let me stop talking. Let me let y'all hear these people talk. And then I'll come back, say the last few things I have to say, and then get out of here. Because I'm kind of like done with trying to convince people all the time that you should be thinking about things outside of always allowing social media to dictate and pretty much rule your life in the way you think. You know, it's gotten to the point where white people know that they could just drop any type of chaos in the middle of black people, as long as it's done through social media, and control everybody like it's all right. And this is something you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to let go of the celebrities. You're going to have to let go of how white America decides to identify you, categorize you, and the level of disrespect they give to you. You're going to have to disregard all that shit and build yourself up and give yourself your own praises and worth, if you're trying to make it in this year to every other decade that's coming. Otherwise, that projection that they had of us being 50% unemployed by 2030 and completely destitute by 2050, it's on its way. Because, babies, don't you understand that's how they do shit? When you break up a family, and I mean, I'm not talking about mother, father, child. I'm talking about when you break up families, you tear down the relationships between mothers and daughters. That is supposed to be the strongest fucking relationship in any family. You are killing the next generations to come. Because me as a grandmother, right? I raise my daughter. If she does not raise her children appropriately or to the fullest extent that she should, that's what the fuck I'm here for. I'm supposed to step in and give those children the other extension of the wealth of knowledge and wealth of life and lived experience that she doesn't quite yet have, to give to them, to equal and balance them out. So that where she falls short, I step right in, and where she stops, I begin. So that they have it all. So that by the time they are grown, they're able to do the same thing with their children, and then their children do it with theirs, and theirs, and theirs, and theirs, until the unit is so strong, it is fucking impenetrable. This is what white people know. And they've been doing this shit to us since slavery. And here y'all go letting them do it again. And you know anything white people start, all these black males that's on here with the black women hate speech, all they do is piggyback off of it and keep it going, keep it alive. And now the crazy part is, now the majority, the collective of you black women are doing the same thing that all of them have been doing to us. You're doing it to us and yourselves. And you're alienating yourselves from people who would be the only people to ever have your back and to support you and come running when somebody got their fucking foot on your neck. I keep telling you, young black women, you better stop listening to these people out here trying to get you to always be in these group dynamics and these age groupings that want to discriminate against older black women, because you're going to lose. You're going to lose hard. Whether you want to believe that shit or not. All that mammy shit, y'all need to stop that bullshit. You need to stop disrespecting those women who gave their fucking lives in the civil rights for you and me to walk around in these streets as free as we do, to have bank accounts and credit cards, something that we weren't allowed to have until 1972. So you better surely know your fucking history before you start talking shit about it. But just take a listen to this bullshit here, please.
What I mean by burn the cape could probably differ from some others because I did not create this phrase. I don't like when important advice is seen as a social media trend and not something genuine that should be implemented in real life. So I want to explain what I mean by burn the cape and give examples on how to do that. There was a general sentiment of agreement in the comments section of the video, but I think there was also some misunderstanding. Black women have multiple capes flapping for so many demographics and groups. It's not just one. So I think it's important to acknowledge all capes and burn them all. Otherwise, you haven't really made any difference and you're still not putting yourself first. Some of the content creators I've seen are a lot older, and they've explained they have a history of being political or male-worshipping mammies, pick-me's, and the likes. Some of these women have children. Some of these women have shared their personal and professional horror stories and explained how they dealt with it. So they have a long history of being heavily invested in some form of being a mammy. And it's not just about the black race. It's a good thing they've shared this content and gave warnings. And some are still giving warnings. Unfortunately, other type of content seem to be in a standstill. Now you don't have to tell them to change their content, because they can do whatever they want and it can still be useful to those who are just now hearing those warnings. But if you've personally gotten the message, then it's important to move on. I'm sure some of the repetitive content is because of decades of doing the same thing, and they suddenly don't want to change because change is very difficult for people. In times of stress or just for any good reason, most people revert back to doing what's comfortable to them and what they're used to. In terms of race and politics, a lot of them probably are from the civil rights era or had a parent from that era, and because of race and promises of building a black utopia, they are still very much wanting to give their energy to that community and try to fix it, even though there's nothing fixable and they've been repeatedly talking about fixing their community since forever. So, this is nothing new. There's archives dating back 50 years with the exact same talking points you are now hearing online. If you're Gen Z, you're very young, and yes, you probably also have a history of doing the same thing as most older black women, but obviously you have less experience doing it. So it should be easier for you to burn your capes and heed their warnings so you won't repeat their mistakes. The older you get, the more set in your ways you are. The faster you burn the cape, the sooner you can get your future on track and not run yourself into the ground and ruin your life. A lesson you can learn from other people is not repeating their bad history and not getting comfortable doing the same thing. Do not use good life advice as a social media trend to just engage in, like some post, and then keep scrolling without being proactive in changing your life for the better.
Like, I'm genuinely asking, because I am seeing a lot of millennials and Gen Z coming out making videos saying that they've gone no contact with their parents. You know, one parent, both parents, it doesn't matter. But so many, and their parents happen to be Gen X, meaning my generation, and Boomers, the generation before me. And the reason why they're giving for no contact is that their parents are toxic. And I'm thinking, oh my God, because if y'all know, the definition of toxic means deadly. So are you telling me that there's that many deadly parents out there? Like, you fear for your life or your children's life. maybe we're using the word wrong, because I do get it. There are some deadly, toxic parents out there. I had one. My real father I haven't spoken to in over 30 years. He is now passed. I considered my stepfather my real father. When I say somebody's toxic, deadly, it means that my real father, was an alcoholic, a womanizer, an abuser. I wouldn't trust him. I mean, hell, he almost killed me as a kid because he was too drunk to understand what he was saying. So why would I put my children in his hands? So I get those types of things. When you've tried and they just don't want the help and they're going to continue to do that, then you have to do what's best for your family and your children and not have any more contact with them. So I get those, but you can't tell me there's that many. And I just want to know, like, maybe do we just not understand? Because it seems like everybody's throwing around the word toxic. They're toxic, or they don't respect my boundaries. Does the parent know the boundaries? Could it possibly be, just hear me out, could it be that your parent grew up in a totally different world than it is today? And it's not about boundaries, it's that they don't understand the world that we're living in now and how you're living it compared to how we lived. So it's not that they don't respect your boundaries, we just don't understand them. All right? Did you sit down and have a conversation? Because I will say right now, if back in 1981, if somebody with a time machine came and plucked me out of 1981 and threw me down in 2023, right then, I'd have thought you'd taken me to a different planet. The world I grew up in is completely different than the world we are in now. And I just want to ask those people, I'm asking you now, the millennials and the Gen Z, if you were to think back to your childhood, did you have a good relationship with your grandparents, let's say? And if your answer was yes, I had a great relationship with my grandparents, then why would you keep your children away from their grandparents and let them try to form a bond? You may not like your mother, but how do you know if the relationship that your kids have with your mother wouldn't be one of the best? And let me give you an example. I had a really good relationship with my grandmother growing up. I did. My grandmother passed 3 years ago. And not until she passed did I realize that my mother did not have a good relationship with her, but she kept that relationship open for us kids because we did. All right? I never knew that there was any rift whatsoever. And because as mothers, we sometimes do what's best for our kids. And she thought what was best for us was to have that grandparent in our life, which I am very thankful for. But also think about you as a child. Your childhood, was it okay? Did your parent do the absolute best they could? Did they put a roof over your head? Did they do everything they could do? Made sure you had clothes, gave you a loving home? Then what has changed now that you have become a parent yourself, or now that you're an adult? Like, I don't see how it can change that much. If it's an argument, sit down. Sit down and talk about it. Because I would literally probably die if my kids just stopped talking to me, because I have such a good relationship with my 3 kids, and I absolutely love my grandkids, and I can't imagine them not being in my life. And when I try to discuss this with my millennial and Gen Z kids, they have no idea why either, because their life isn't like that. They don't feel that I'm toxic. They don't feel that they need to stop talking to me. Now, have we had disagreements? Absolutely. You know, I'm 51. They're in their 20s. So, of course, I'm going to think differently than they do on a lot of things. But they still respect my opinion, and I respect theirs. You know, so I just want to say, ask yourself, is it really worth it? Maybe is it time to sit down and talk to that parent, because there's hurting on both sides.
A lot of generations, and people were trapped because they had to endure their parents, because society said, even though this person is toxic to you, and even though this person hurts you continually, you are obligated to care for them for the rest of their lives. Millennials and Gen Zers are going, bullshit to that. You abused me for 18 years. You're not getting anything from me. Have a nice time at the nursing home. Now, how can you change that? Go heal your trauma. Heal yourself and admit the things you've done wrong, and tell your children you're sorry. Then you can have access to their lives. One of the biggest arguments the Gen X and Boomers have is, I clothed you, I put a roof over your head, I put food into your stomach. You should be grateful for that. No, dude. When you have kids, you are legally obligated to do the minimum, and that was the minimum. And you want your kids to be respectful of you because you did the minimum, but ignored their emotional needs and their emotional well-being and their emotional capacity to feel autonomy and to feel like they are important people, it's time for Gen X and boomers to get with it. Read some books, understand what emotional intelligence is, understand what toxicity is, understand why our kids are saying the things they are, and learn. Guys, we were of the time of Meatloaf, man. Meatloaf. We can freaking learn emotional intelligence. Let's get on board, okay?
You know, when I made this video, the one that's connected to this comment, I knew that it was a sensitive subject. But let me just make something very clear. My intention was never to shame anybody for going no contact with anybody in their life. All right. With that being said, my true intention was to help people like this commenter and people that I know in real life that their kids have gone no contact with them and they truly don't understand why. Because the kids only said, you're toxic or you didn't respect my boundaries. And they're like, wait a minute, what boundaries and what are you talking about toxic? Now, before you come at me and say, oh, I know that their parents knew. Their kids told them 1,000 times and they just didn't want to listen. I absolutely agree with you. There are some people that do not want to listen, that are stuck in their ways, that doesn't matter what you say, they're right, you're wrong, it's their way or the highway. I get it. I'm not referring to those people. I'm also not referring to the ones that you cut out of your life that were truly a detriment to you, your family, your mental health, whatever the case may be. But what I'm trying to help, or what I made the video for, is that instead of us just using these words like toxic and they don't respect my boundaries, we truly, not me, I have a great relationship with my kids, but some of these commenters and the people, my friends that I know in real life, truly don't understand what happened, where the breakup was, where the breakdown was, because we've no longer decided to communicate anymore. We're not listening to understand, we're listening to respond. All right. I am very proud of my kids and the other generations that don't put up with some of the bullshit that we were taught as Gen Xers to just deal with. I am very proud that you're standing up for yourselves, for your families, because let me tell you, when we grew up, Gen X, I don't care if you had a bad Uncle Eddie that came every Christmas that was a total dick to everybody and to you and was abusive, you were told, well, that's just your Uncle Eddie, you just need to deal with it. Right? And we were told to suck it up. Basically, shut up and color. We didn't have therapists. I mean, it was looked down upon if we went to mental health. So I applaud those generations that are not allowing that to happen in their life. But there are instances where there are parents out there that truly don't understand why a child has stopped talking to them. Because in their mind, they're like, we had a great relationship. And let me give you an example. I have a friend of mine who did have a really good relationship with her son. I mean, I saw the text messages. I see Facebook posts, them together all the time. Him coming over, asking her questions. They had a great relationship. And then all of a sudden, the son met a girl. The girl and the mom clashed, right? Not physically. They just clashed, meaning the girl didn't like how the mom did this one thing or how she talked or whatever the case may be. So she convinced the boy, your mom's toxic. Your mom doesn't respect our boundaries. Your mom didn't call before she came over. Where before he met this girl, mom would come over all the time without calling. Son was fine with it. But now that he's met the girl, how does she know that that's a boundary that the girl had? And then all of a sudden it's boom. Like the first instance is remove that person from your life instead of going, oh, mom, you know, I know it was good when it was just you and I, but now my live-in girlfriend or my wife doesn't like that. If you could please call and maybe understand. This is what I'm talking about. Is that we've lost the form of communication to maybe compromise instead of our first course of action being remove the person. Because I will tell you right now, if my children, who I have a very good relationship with and I love them to death, I would die for any one of them or my grandkids, and that's not a fucking lie. I would literally die by 1,000 cuts if one of my kids just decided to stop talking to me after the relationship that we have had. My oldest is 28. I just talked to her right before I made this video. I call her all the time. We talk all the time. My son just came over for dinner yesterday. It's like grieving somebody who's alive. The video was supposed to be to try to hopefully open up communication between the younger generations and my friends, Gen Xers and some boomers, that truly don't understand why a miscommunication or a different viewpoint in life can completely change their relationship. All right, so I am not talking about all the people that there is people you should remove from your life. And I applaud you for doing so and not letting them be a detriment to your life. But let's look at the ones that, if you had a really good relationship with your parents prior to, and then some small thing has changed, and I say small, but it's trivialized, but maybe it's a whole bunch of little things. But I don't want it to be the first thing that we do is remove somebody. And the biggest thing for me personally is that I have friends that they've never seen their grandkids, like never seen their grandkids. And when I tell you that it's over just literally a disagreement about what they should put up in their house and not put up in their house, and they stop talking, you can disagree with your parent, but how do you know if your children aren't going to have the best relationship with that grandparent? As long as that grandparent is not unsafe for your children, I would never deny my kids to have a relationship with somebody that I personally don't like. If they're safe, I just don't get along with them. Let's say their father. I'm divorced from their father. I would have never kept them from their father. Me and their father don't get along. But just because I don't get along with their father doesn't mean that they can't have a good relationship. This was what I was trying to get at, all in all. So I just want to say that I feel for you people that are hurting, because I know there's hurting going on both sides. And I just want to say, look back at your situation and see if there's any grace or empathy on both sides, meaning Gen Xers need to sit and listen to understand their children. Their children need to understand that we came from a different generation as well, and maybe we just need to be told or understand your point of view. That's all I'm saying. I hope y'all have a really good holiday.
Okay, black women, I know y'all saw that video. I just start by saying this. That Hispanic or white woman, whatever it was, in the striped shirt, that is a fucking hater, okay? That is a miserable bitch that wants to have other women be miserable. That's the type of person where, how you guys say, loves to commiserate, trauma bond, make excuses to always have chaos and fucking problems with other people. You could see it in her face. You could see it in her mannerisms, the way she was talking, her posture. That's a miserable bitch. If you want to live that life, join her. It's sad that I felt that I had to choose the white woman. All right, so I felt I had to use this white lady, right? And believe me, I agree with this white woman 100%, right? But I felt like I had to use this white lady because she white. So I figured y'all will listen to her. Because I doubt you'll listen to me. So, and the reason this is important to me is because, believe me, young black women, because I'm only concerned with y'all, you don't want to burn bridges before bridges need to be burnt. Because this is a hard, long fucking life. And you don't want to fuck yourself up with people that could possibly save you when you need to be saved. Let me tell you something, right? This has even happened to me in my life. Women have told me, don't do it. He ain't no good. Stay away from him. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this other thing. That's not going to work. I swear to God, these people were trying to kill my joy, make my life unhappy, and just keep me from something I felt like was going to be the greatest fucking thing for me. And you know what happened? Every fucking single time, the thing they told me not to do, and I just had to have that dude or had to do that thing, that shit tore me up and fucked me up in the long run, right? Now, this hating ass chick, right? This Hispanic one, white one, whatever she is with the striped shirt, this is a miserable bitch. I'm going to say that every time because let me tell y'all something. As a black woman, I can tell you as a young black girl, being with my mother, my grandmother, my aunts, my cousins, my extended family, that shit was black joy. Do you hear me? I can remember vividly my grandmother's backyard, our swamp, our trees, playing in backyards in New York City, playing in backyards in Shreveport, Louisiana. Everybody knowing my fucking name everywhere I lived, watching my every movement to make sure I wasn't hurt. I was instructed, given proper parental guidance. People caring about whether my feelings were hurt or not. So this bitch talking all this shit where she's with all this nasty vitriol shit. Yo, if your life was trash, I'm sorry for you. But that's not the majority of people's lives. It's more like what this white lady is saying. I remember ever since my children were little, I would always tell them, very similar to what the white woman was saying about her, one of her friends and her friend's son and a new girlfriend, the moms clash. So now the girlfriend convinces the son to hate his mother or distance himself from his mother because this bitch got a problem. Okay, that's real life shit. So I've been telling my kids forever, since they was little, never ever turn on your family for outside motherfuckers. And I would literally say it like that. I don't care how many of y'all get upset. I say I don't give a fuck. Wives, husbands, girlfriends, boyfriends, those motherfuckers come a dime a dozen. Your family is hard to fucking replace. And I know a lot of you are not going to want to hear that because you like to think because you fucking a man and you call yourself his wife or his girlfriend, you think that you are supposed to trump the mother. No, you don't, right? So I used to always tell them that. And I knew it to be true because I was told these things too, and I found out in life that it is true. So anyway, time would have it, I would have a few sons that had girlfriends that tried that shit with me. And even a daughter-in-law too that decided that, you know, they felt like it was their job to try to trump me and try to make it seem like if me and my sons had a decent relationship, that threatened her. So she wanted to make sure that it was understood either fucking me is more important than your relationship with your mother. Now, I don't know if they remember what the term mother means, but that means I'm here till they put my child in the ground unless I go first, right? So I wouldn't fight with these people, but I would recognize the fact that these women were literally not worth shit, right? And I mean that with every fucking ounce of me. Any woman or any man that tries to come between a parent and their child's relationship, and listen exactly to the words I'm saying. Don't read into shit. But if you do read into it, fuck you. I can't change it, right? And you a fucked up person anyway because you feel like you're supposed to be above a parent-child relationship when you never could be. You never fucking could be. There's no fucking amount of time you're going to be in a relationship with somebody that's going to even come close to the type of relationship a good relationship between a parent and child has. You can't. So, but anyway, they tried it. And all I did was step to the side. And when that shit eventually went south, and now this person who claimed that, you know, they demanded and should have been loved better, and they were this, and they turned into the wickedest, most piece of shit known to man, both the women and the men. And I just looked at the child that had forsaken me, whether it was my daughter or one of my sons, and when it came time to have to battle for custody, fight about property, argue about money that wasn't divided the right way, I would have to go get an attorney, go get whoever's father it was, and even though we're divorced, we would stand toe-to-toe behind our child with whatever the fuck that outsider brought into our family, the amount of chaos they brought. And that shit has happened every single fucking time. Somebody gets upset and they want a divorce, or they want to go, they want to leave, and they feel like, oh, fuck you, we're not having shared custody, I want full custody. It's a fucking war. And I mean, as old as I am, this shit just happened to one of my kids recently, and I had to call the father and like, we got another situation, this is what's happening, I need your support. And me and those men, we go to fucking bat for our kids because those are our kids. And it ain't a fucking other person out here in the world, whether they be their wife, their husband, their girlfriend, their boyfriend, their baby mama, whatever the fuck, is going to make any difference in how we feel towards our kids. So when this lady is saying, this white lady is talking about, you know, I've seen it so many times. A son gets a girlfriend or a daughter gets a boyfriend and they clash with the parent. The first thing they want to do is, oh, we need to eliminate your parent from our life because this person is no good. But yet this is the person that has been there with you your whole fucking life. And anytime you get in trouble, whether you argue and you ain't talking to your mama and all this type of shit, they still there for you. That is the shit that white woman is talking about. And that's even my case. Like, I have one particular son. I do not like how he lives his life. I do not like how he has not taken my parenting and become the decent fucking dude that I know he could be. He's trash. I will admit that. But guess what? Whenever he calls and he's really in a jam, me and his father show up. We show up for him the same way we show up for all the rest of the kids. Well, you know, it depends on which father it is. We show up for them the same way, and we stand there and we deal with whatever the fuck comes our way, because that is what parents do. So when y'all are so quick to write us off and, oh, fuck you, you're toxic, you don't respect my adulthood, my boundaries, what is the other shit? What's that shit Cynthia G is always saying? My what? What is that shit? Come on, y'all. Y'all help me. I wish y'all could talk out loud right now to me. If you don't respect my boundaries, all that shit. Listen, parents understand communication, but there's a limit to all that shit with us. Say what you want. That is how we work. And believe me, whether you want to believe it or not, eventually when you're in our shoes, you're going to be the same fucking way. And I'm not talking about being tyrants, so stop being ignorant. I'm talking about you're going to be the same way. When it comes to being overly assertive, when you know you're fucking right, you know what you're talking about, and your kid does not, but they swear to God they right, just because they got 50 million stupid motherfuckers on Facebook agreeing with them, YouTube, Instagram, or fucking Twitter, don't mean you right just because them other stupid motherfuckers think you right. It doesn't. And what the white lady is saying, and what I agree with her with, is why would you throw away your relationship with your parent, the person that's gonna really have your back despite whatever fucking comes your way, for the uncertainty of an outside motherfucker that you really, really cannot rely on? Because 9 out of 10 times, when shit hits the fan, people gonna leave you. But your people in your family, they ain't gonna do that. They ain't gonna leave you. They care about you. They care about you in ways other motherfuckers are not capable of caring. So the only thing I can say to y'all is, keep all this shit in mind. Keep the shit in mind that I have spoke to you about. Keep the things in mind the white woman is telling you that is a real reality. Forget all that shit that stupid black Hispanic woman was saying, because that's just a bugged out bitch with a lot of problems. She got issues. That bitch need to see a therapist and sit the fuck down and work out whatever the fuck her problem is. Maybe she didn't get hugged enough, kissed enough, or praised, but she got issues. And it's a lot of fucking people out here like that. And then there's just people that they've had good parents, but when they grow up, all of a sudden their parents is the enemy. That's real shit too. Because I've seen that in my own fucking life. I'm looking and I'm like, hold up. You talking all this shit about your moms, but I was fucking there. And I know what you putting on them posts on the internet and Facebook and YouTube, but that shit is a total motherfucking lie. None of that shit happened that way. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why all of a sudden do you have selective memory and you creating shit and making up stories that never motherfucking happened? And you exaggerating on your real life, talking about shit and making shit up that ain't true. This is what people do. So, child, I'm telling y'all, please stop all this shit. Like this white woman said, it's a fucked up trend that needs to stop. Because believe me, you don't want to be no motherless child. Not in this hard, hostile fucking world. Especially when you a black woman. You do not want that. Because you at the mercy of every motherfucking body else in this bitch. And there's not that many good people out here. Believe it or not. Believe it. And some of the first people to cut your throat, figuratively speaking that is, when you're in the worst situation in life, are the main cheerleaders that's pushing you to fuck up your life. Don't forget that. Good night.